Hello people, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. This is Sorin and today we're going to take a look at the basic premium tanks in all of tanks. Guys, do you remember the IS-6? Do you remember the IS-6B? All preferential matchmaking tanks that used to be fairly decent in 2013, 2014, but now meta shifts and tanks like Renegade are best heavy tanks, Wagon, and so on and so forth. But I was thinking like, I think I'm gonna dust off my IS-6B and play some games with it. And actually, it turns out I had a lot of fun. Why is that? Because obviously preferential matchmaking tanks get maximum tier 9. So the worst matchmaking that you can get is 8, actually no, it's 7 tier 9 and 8 tier 8, which is happening pretty much like 1 in 15 games in terms of my case. But in another 14 case, pretty much I get tier 6s, tier 7s and tier 8s, but mostly often I get tier 8 matchmaking, and whenever it's not happening it's tier 6 or tier 7 or heavy tier 7 matchmaking. And a tank that bad like the IS-6, it doesn't really feel that bad anymore. Let's take a look at this Ruinberg game and talk about why this vehicle is so bad. Well, first of all, starting off with what is good. The DPM, 2100 base DPM, enough mobility, 35 km/h top speed. For the armor you actually get around 200 meters of upper front protection, which is fine. On top of that you got 390 alpha damage with, I guess the DPM is better than other tanks, but you don't get the best penetrations, like you get 196 on AP, 225 on APCRs, and obviously the HEs that you occasionally versus paper tanks. But other than that, that's it. The vehicle only has armor, obviously that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because you can get overmatched into the roof by most of the tanks. The cupolas are 150 millimeters, so you need to wiggle. Ah boy, did you saw that? With the Renegade you like instantly hit that guy, but with the IS-6 with the Russian bias it's not gonna be the case. You need to be stationary for a moment, and even though we are using the reticle mode and it is very very small, we still can see the gun handling treating us bad. Now we load APCR, even though this guy poked at the worst time. We actually managed to put an APCR through his side, which is a waste, but I'll take it. Over here we try to snipe at this guy. Luckily we secured the hit. Did you saw how much towards the left it went? And I said to myself, I'm not gonna stay here and snipe, I'm actually gonna go and fight at close range, because this is what you wanna do with your IS-6 and IS-6B. You have all the armor, and those guys, there are 5 tanks I think over here. All of them have 90 millimeters and lower, which means they cannot penetrate my turret, or actually they can penetrate my obviously my cupolas, but my forehead they cannot really do that. So as long as I'm not overpicking my side, they cannot do anything. So was that 83 millimeter or whatever it is on that Canavan? What is it? 85 on the Type 58. 88 on the Tiger. The same goes to the Tiger P. The Boogie probably has 105 or whatever is that, and the IS-5 we cannot really see. So it's a really good farming simulator over here. We are picking with our side. They are bouncing because obviously you need 200 meters to penetrate this tank whenever it's angling. Now we try to do reverse side scraping, and oh boy, look at that. Come on, I was about to say look at that DPM kicking in, but look at that. This is 0.23 dispersion, actually 0.23 dispersion while you move and turn. Luckily we managed to secure that kill on the Tiger, on the poor Tiger. You get 0.44 base accuracy, which this vehicle is not really made to snipe. As long as you have your enemies within 100 meters or 200 meters maximum of you, you can actually have a blast. As you saw with that Canavan, we didn't even manage to stop to aim for that. But look at that, come on, that cupola, look at that aiming time. Oh, that is 2.7 seconds. I mean we were 60 meters, and sometimes you can even missed at 60 meters. Unluckily, we managed to obviously to lose our third kill of the game. Those guys are picking up damage quick, so we must be very, very aggressive. We see the guy with the most hit points, we go for that because we are kind of are trying to go for a sneaky 3 mark, even though I'm not gonna play this tank that much, even though I kind of like it. It's a bit nostalgic to me. And now the question. You have a tank like the K2. The K2 can meet tier 10s. You have better armor. You have the same kind of turret. Is it worth it? I personally, over there I aim it too much low. But it's fine. This tank should not be able to penetrate us with 225. We managed to connect one into the lower plate. We get a high caliber, which is fine. I mean, 3000 damage in a tier 6 game, it's fine. But can we actually manage to put it above? We managed to secure 2 shots in that IS-5, which is really fine for our credit income. And yeah, let's keep blowing. And yeah, you get 25 APCR pen. And as I was talking, you get 225 on APCRs versus tier 9 maximum. But with the K2, with less DPM, you get 270 hit versus tier 10s. And in the tier 10s, which are a lot of tier 10 matchmaking, you kind of meet a lot of super heavy armor tanks. And I just feel like preferential matchmaking tanks are doing kind of, even though they're not the best, they're like mid-average, they are still doing fairly good just because they meet a lot of tier 6 and tier 7s. Most of the times you actually have much, or actually it was in my case probably CC RNG. We didn't even manage to stop for that guy to aim. Yeah, actually for my case, I managed to play so many games versus tier 7 versus tier 6 with tanks that have preferential matchmaking, or actually tier 8s. With fighting tier 8s in IS-6B is very, very nice. The same goes with the Jack Panther 8.8. But whenever you start to face the tier 9s that have a lot of armor, yeah, this is where those tanks actually start to struggle, because they get limited penetration on their rounds. And come on, can we manage to get that top gun? Yeah, we got, actually it's called Warrior for whatever reason, but it is a top gun. 5.3k damage in less than, actually I think it's more than 5 minutes. I'll take that every day of the year. We've been aggressive, we bounced, we pushed, and I guess this really shows what the IS-6 is capable of. And meanwhile I show you the battle results. You can actually take a look at the armor layout of the IS-6. So this is the IS-6 fighting an IS-6 with 196 penetration. As you can see, the well-angled side armor, it's an auto ricochet. You get around 200 to 240 on the upper plate, and the lower plate is around 20. As long as you fight 220 meters of penetration, the tank will do just fine, as long as obviously they don't manage to hit your cupolas. But whenever you are using your relatively low 60 kills on depression, you cannot really still hide them. But as long as you are hiding the overmatchable roof, I guess that's a win. So yeah, the vehicle gets only 60 degrees of gun depression, which is a bit limited. But look at that, whenever you are facing someone, I mean mostly with the tier 7 and the tier 6, they cannot really do anything whenever you are facing them straight on. But whenever you actually start to fight people that are using like 230, as you can see, your lower plate become, actually your armor becomes, it's falling apart. But once you manage to wiggle, you do all the things, the tank is still able to break through those sticky situation. And what can I say? Good DPM, average damage per shot, really bad aiming, actually really bad aiming time, really bad accuracy, really bad dispersion. Shell weight is bad on AP, and the same goes the same with APCR. Only 1000 on APCR, really? The cost shell too much on APCRs, and I guess the same with AP. I mean, I guess it's fine, but obviously whenever you start to add them up, they start to cost a lot. The top speed, as I mentioned, is 35, which is fine for this kind of armor. This is why I'm using the mobility system to get myself up to 39. instead of using the hardening. Probably I could use the hardening on city maps, as you don't feel the ground resistance that much, and there's a ground resistance. You can still go 35 on medium and 24 on soft, which is fine by default. And what can I say, 6 degrees of wind depression is bad. You 1550 hit points, that's a lot of hit points. I really like that. And power to weight ratio, where is the power to weight ratio? It's 14.4. That is very nice. So this is why I kind of like this vehicle, because you have mobility, armor, a decent DPM, and the preferential matchmaking, which just feels very solid fighting lower tier tanks. But with 350 meters V range, yeah, this vehicle is as blind as a bat. So whenever you are left alone against like anything that has like more view range than you, yeah, you're pretty much game over. Right now, let me actually show you the battle result for this game. Alrighty, so it was obviously the victory with an ace on Demolition Expert. I was like, what? How did I manage to get this one? But by the looks of it, we managed to Amorak the Type 64, which I think it was like on 100 something hit points. So yeah, we got an sneaky Amorak, but useless Amorak at the same time. Fire for Effort, Shellproof, Duelist, Bruiser, a Top Gun for the 6 kill I managed to snitch, Steel Wool for blocking 2300 hit points, which is a lot of blocking. Obviously, they managed to shoot only stun rounds at once, so it makes sense. But considering the armor is really good, they cannot really do anything. And a high caliber for the 5000 damage that we managed to do in the short 5-minute game. I mean, I guess 1 minute only took us to drive into the position, and 1 minute took us to obviously to try and get as much damage in as possible. So roughly 3 minutes and something we managed to get the 5000 damage, which shows that we were really aggressive. We tried to break through to be as frontline, and we just chased for damage. On top of that, this was my maximum experience of 1663 base, which shows that you can still use the IS-6 to get ace tanker for the object 279E, and this is probably what I'm gonna use. And in terms of the guys, yeah, those guys did not have a team. Like, only their Iron Arnid managed to have a good game inside the city, but the other ones, yeah, they barely put a shell in. Our team were just clearly much better. But in terms of the perform, actually in terms of the credit, we managed to make 220k. We managed to spend 40k on ammunition, which is, as I mentioned, expensive, but considering we fired 19 shells, I guess it makes sense. And with the credit reserve, we pretty much managed to get 200,000 credits profit with within the 5-minute game. So I guess it's very nice. But come on, we are playing an 10-year-old tank, I guess. A tank that is fairly old, but it still does its job very nice. And what can I say? I feel like the IS-6 is tiny touch better than the K2, considering the K2 has it has to fight tier 10s. The IS-6 feels more comfortable fighting only tier 8s and occasionally tier 9s, and mostly of the time tier 6s and tier 7. And because of this, the vehicle managed to win me 57% of the games with 1000 average base experience, which is among the highest in my list. And we're averaging 2000, almost 2000 damage per game, which I think is fine for a heavy tank with this weak of a gun. So let me know what do you think about the IS-6 and the IS-6B. Is this a nostalgia, guys, for you? Have you sold it? Do you consider like the K2, the Defender, the 732 are better? And what do you think overall about the preferential matchmaking tanks? Thank you very much everyone for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.